Hello everyone and welcome to part 5 of our tutorial series. In this one we will show you how to create a leaderboard which will show all the places of all vehicles on the map. We will be showing you two ways to achieve this, which one will be using regular data binding, and for the second one we will show you how to create your own custom data binding. In this one I will show you how to create the leaderboard in two different ways, and for all of them we'll first need to create our HTML. So let's start by doing that. And we'll need the leaderboard. This will be the whole leaderboard, and each item will be called leaderboard item. Now each item will have a place. Let's just put one for now, and name, but user. So this will be the setup. We'll loop through all of the players, competitors, etc., all the vehicles that are essentially in the game, and we'll create a leaderboard item for each one of them. But before we do that, let's style it. And first let's start with our leaderboard. We'll set its position to absolute, and the top to 5%, the left to 5%. Or in just a second, let's see what we add to the other ones. And okay, we need to set the top to 2%. Okay, and let's set the min height. Just in case there are fewer than expected vehicles, we'll just make sure that our layout doesn't break. And our item, let's set its width 20 VH and its height to 3 VH. Set the cover to be white. Let's set to be flex, since we want the place and the name to be right next to each other. Let's give it a font size of 1.5 rem, since we don't really want to be different font sizes between the place and the name. And again, let's set the position to be absolute. And let's add a transition. Actually, no, not yet. I just leave it like that. And let's go with leaderboard place. Set the font family to be contracts. Let's set the height to be 100% if you want, and let's set the width to be 3 VH, since the height of our item is 3 VH as well, and we want it to be a square. Let's set the background color to be black with an opacity. Let it be 0.5, and we can center everything now. We can center the number. Let's also add a margin right, so we can have some space between the place and the name. It should be significantly small, let's say 0.6 VH. And for the leaderboard name, let's set the font family this time to Bebas. Let's set the height to be 100%, and the width should be, since we set 20, let's go with 60 VH. And again, let's center it, but let's center it on the y-axis. So we can display flex and just align items, center, and let's give it a small padding to the left so our text is not pushed against the border. And we set the background. Again, let's go in opaque black, but instead of 0.5, maybe we can go with 0.3 to make it a little bit different. And I set this border left to be 1VH solid and transparent. You'll see in a second why. And now if we load, we can see our leaderboard items. Great. So the reason we add this border left is because we can add a different style if the player is the one that's on the leaderboard. So let's do leaderboard player, leaderboard place, and we can set the background color to be this red. And for the leaderboard player, leaderboard name, we can set not the background color but the border color to be this red. Okay, and if we go, we'll not see anything because we haven't added it. So if we add to our leaderboard item another class called leaderboard place, if we refresh, we'll see nothing because it's not leaderboard place, it's leaderboard player, and I forgot that. Okay, and we see how it's red. Let's also make this to be an opaque black, or no, rather let's have it to be 0.5.7. Okay, all right. And now if we copy that and let's remove the leaderboard player class, we'll see they're on top of each other, and the reason is that now they have a top. Okay, and since we have this, let's go and let's remove this and let's go to our backend where we have, again, we're going to use the get vehicle position function that we used for the nameplates. See here, but instead of this, we're going to just do the following. Use this macro, get distance on spline. So in our game, we have this spline that all of our competitors are following, and it goes all around our map. If we check from the top, we can see it, the white line going all the way across. And what we'll do is just check if the current location of the competitor and the player, at what distance it's on the spline. We check how many laps they have completed, since, for example, if you complete one lap but the others haven't, but you're behind them, you'll be the distance will be smaller on the spline, but yet you'll be further along on the road. So we're going to add 100 points, which is the maximum for each lap. So that way we make sure that if we are too fast, it won't bug the system. Now, of course, this isn't the perfect way to do this, but it will serve its purpose for our demonstration. So we get the name, we get the points, and we add it to this struct. Now we have two structs, which are the leaderboard and the leaderboard place. The leaderboard is just an array of leaderboard structs, and leaderboard place has the name of the vehicle, the points it has, which this is not something that we're going to show, but we use this to determine the place and check if this is the player, so we can apply the styling we just made. So we set for our competitors that this player is false, the point, and we do the same for the player, but this time we just set this player to true. When all of this is done, we have this function where we just use the bubble sort method to sort through the array and get the one with the most points to be in the first place in the array, meaning in the 0 index. And when it's done, we just set the members in the leaderboard, and then we update the leaderboard. And in our blueprint, we have this leaderboard struct, which is the leaderboard with the array of leaderboards, and we update it. But before that, we have of course created here and called the model leaderboard. So each leaderboard, and the leaderboard has the players array. So now we can start adding this to our code, and we will start with the most basic way to do this, using databind4. In databind4 we have the, let's set vehicle. We can also use the index. We have leaderboard.players, and we can use this index as well in our data bind, so we can now do databind4 and just do index +1, since it starts from 0. And here we can just do, sorry, it's not databind4, it's databind value, and we need to do databind value again. So here we just use vehicle name. Okay, and since if we now run this, it will happen the same as before, where all the leaderboard items will be on top of each other. Let's just set databind style top, and let's do index. Again, this is wrong, this is not work, it should be outside of this. So let's do index times let's say 4, and let's concat the string with vh. So if we run this in our game, we get a non-vh. Great. Oh yeah, because it's index then the item. Okay, that should work. Alright, so we have all of them, and if we start, we see we're at the 7th place, but we can see how it moves to the top. But now let's add our class toggle. It should be leaderboard player dots, and it should be vehicle dot is player. Okay, now we should, yep, we can see the 7th place is our car, and if we move, we can see it moving as well. But what if we want to have them be animated and move according to the position, so it will look like they're swapping their places? To do that, we're not going to use databind4, but rather create our own data binding element. And to do that, we just use custom data bindings. And this is quite simple to do. So in our JavaScript, we just need to create a class. And let's call it Leaderboard handler. And this class should have an init method, which will have the element to which is applied and the value of our model. An update method, which will be the same, again, element and value, and the init, where we just have the element. So I think it's pretty much self-explanatory, but I'll just go over them really quick. The init method happens at the start, the update happens at every model synchronization, and the init happens when the data binding is removed from the element, or the element is removed from the DOM. And to actually use this leaderboard handler as a custom data binding, we'll just go to our engine when ready and do engine register binding attribute. Let's call it leaderboard and use leaderboard handler. And in our HTML, we can use now data bind leaderboard, which is our custom data binding, and we just pass leaderboard players. Okay, so since we need to create the elements, let's start in the init method and value, and for each we get the let's call it vehicle, since not everyone is the player. Oops. So we have each vehicle in its index. We can use leaderboard item. We create a div element. We add the class of leaderboard item, and let's also check if vehicle is player, and let's add leaderboard player. Okay, and let's add to each leaderboard item a data set, and let's call it car ID, which will be the vehicle, not vehicle ID, but vehicle name. And the reason we do this is because we need to be able to reference each of them later when we start updating. So let's add the leaderboard in our HTML. We just go here and copy this. We can also remove this as well. Okay, so we paste this here and we remove any other data bindings, because we can just do it right now in the JavaScript. Custom data bindings should be used with caution though, because as much as they are powerful, they can be very heavy on performance, since they rely a lot on JavaScript calculations. When we're going to export this further in the series, where we're going over how to profile your UI to fix any performance issues. But for now, let's just show you how to make it. Okay, and again, index +1 and vehicle.name. Great, and we also need to set the leaderboard item style top vh. In CoHTML we can do this we can do things like top VH, top PX, so we don't have to append strings and concatenate them. And now we can just do or index times 4. Okay. And let's also make, since this is a class, we can have a constructor, and let's add these leaderboard items and to be an empty array. And we do this because we don't want to get the leaderboard items every time, so we just have a reference to which one of them we created. And then we add element, which is the element that we've applied the data binding, in this case the leaderboard, and we will append the leaderboard item to it. And now in the update, we can go over these leaderboard items, loop through all of them, and let's get the leaderboard place, which we have. Let's do this. Of course, again, like I said, this isn't really performant. We can actually, let's do children 0. So the first child should be the leaderboard place. And let's get the position. So we need value, find index, since we need to find which is player. Well, player name will be the ID. So where we add it here, we just check, since the array will be sorted and it won't match the items, we need to find which is the index of the new item. And now if we have both, we can just do leaderboard place in our HTML position +1, again, since it's starting from 0, and leaderboard style top VH position times 4. And in our init, we can just do element inner HTML empty. Okay, and with all of this, when we now press play, we should have the exact same thing as before, but this time, whenever we, again, works the same, but the difference is that in our leaderboard item, we need to add a transition property for the top value, and let's be 1 second, and now if we try, it should work. Okay, and we can see it how it animates the swapping between places. If we go back, you can see how our player now is last. And that's everything for this one. In the next one, we'll be showing how to create a rear view mirror by using one of Gameface's features called live views. We'll be setting up a camera on our car, and we'll be displaying everything the camera captures in our UI directly. If you've liked this video and the rest so far, please give us a like and share the video. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel. We are planning on posting more tutorials and other content in the future. So if you're interested or have any feedback or ideas, you can leave us a comment down below. Thank you and have a great day.